this respect of the entitlement of certain members of city council firsthand. It was such a disgusting display and a ass backwards dynamic of a city councilor who should be working for the deputant and instead demanded respect that he doesn't deserve. And I'm talking, of course, of Daniel Tate. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
What is your title that we should be addressing you as? It should be Mr. Tate.
Ultimately concerned citizen, but I am the executive director of Integrity TO, which is Toronto's newest and fastest growing civic advocacy group. And we're watching what's going on at City Hall. And
no, but my point was a callback to Chris Moyes demanding that you call him Councillor Moyes.
Oh, yeah. The Right Honorable Lord Chris Moyes.
Oh, no. And it's racist to call him anything else.
Unbelievable.
And no, I've told you before, it's a disgusting display when a city councillor in your own ward says, I don't know the man. I don't want to know the man. And in point of fact, he has to know you. It's his job because he works for you. But never mind. And it's my contention that activists make the worst politicians. We can talk about that later. What did you think when you heard about this Gord Perks, Roman Baber dynamic?
I was disgusted by it. I thought it was repugnant. I thought that Councillor Perks was on brand, though, because his brand is being a smug, arrogant individual who is condescending, and he does this in every interaction that I've seen, not just with me, with other constituents, with other citizens. And it's like he has this worldview, and if you disagree with his view, he'll do everything in his power to silence you.
Yeah.
And people have a democratic right to speak at a civic deputation. It's like foundational to local democracy.
But especially if the city has failed at properly getting buy-in from the stakeholders, right? Like if you've set up a system where the people living in that area do not have the opportunity to speak out and talk about the problems that they have with it, then they're going to take any avenue available to them.
Yeah, and this is why trust in local government is declining, because people are seeing this kind of stuff. And, Roman Baber came, yes, he's an MP, but he came as a concerned citizen, and he made a very good case, and he made a plea, and he was just shut down by Perks.
Yeah.
No compassion from Perks, no
addressing. He's been there 19 years.
Too long.
That's too long.
Term limits.
And look, by the way, our prime minister addressed this sort of in a different form when he talked about his issue with the public's the civil servants in Ottawa. He said some of them have been there too long, and they are leaning on institutional muscle memory, and they are more concerned with process than getting results that are right for the voter. Right, and that's what he cares about. This guy has his worldview, and he's hiding behind it, saying, "Well, we're just checking the boxes here. The outcome is almost secondary." So yesterday you were in Nathan Phillips Square with an announcement.
Yeah, that's right. So yesterday, while all this was going on inside the committee room upstairs at City Hall, we were outside as part of the Toronto Concerned Citizens Coalition, this rapidly growing active citizen group. We got together. We did a press conference. It was a great press conference. A lot of issues were being discussed, and it was very well received. We got a lot of press, and it really jazzed up a lot of people.
But I watched some of the clips, and it was hard to hear you. It was hard. There was a lot of noise. There was a lot of shouting, and talk to me about what you were up against there.
I think some noise bylaws were violated, and I think some of the people who were abusing the megaphone should be investigated because... Yeah, we had a press conference, and they decided that it was good form to literally come right beside us with two megaphones in hand, dialed up to full blast, and just shout all these like Vietnam era slogans in our ears. No justice, no peace. When we're talking about bike lanes, shelters, and other things.
That's 2 days in a row that's happened. Now, or maybe twice this week, where I had Carlene Nation on the show a couple of days ago, talking about being there with the Downtown Concerned Citizens Coalition, saying the very same thing, that they were just trying to get their point across at a press conference, and these what she said felt like sort of professional protesters were there trying to shout her down. And I know that you were quoted in the Toronto Star article saying you don't do the whole left-right thing. The reason I have to focus on the left-right thing is because, yes, there are bad actors on both sides in every conversation. When you with a big enough data set, you're going to have bad actors involved with everything. However, in my opinion, it is the exclusive domain of the left to behave that way, right? They shut down debate because of their worldview. Because of their worldview, where there's a certain type of person, i.e. people who look like you and me, are oppressors, and because they view everything as class warfare, then the simple act of asking questions about a bike lane means you hate cyclists. That there has to be some sort of class warfare, or their system doesn't work. And because of that, they are not interested, just like Gord Perks, not interested in debate. Because to suggest we don't like a shelter in our area, that means you don't care about the best. You don't care about the most vulnerable in our society. And it's incumbent upon me, perched at the highest point of my self-righteous throne, I have to instruct you that you're wrong, and we're going to get this done.
I think that's an accurate observation, and I've started to feel it myself. Not just when Chris Moyse called me the word that rhymes with basist, but when we announced this press conference, all of a sudden they started calling me a rage farmer, which is a word I haven't really heard before. But now I'm thinking to myself, oh, so if you criticize anybody, the policy of anybody on the other side. Instead of them engaging you intellectually on the details of that subject, you're just immediately a NIMBY rage farmer. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the lowest form of debate, because they just resort to insults, and it only makes themselves look foolish.
So talk to me about this petition, the petition for an independent audit of Toronto shelter and support services.
Yes, a lot of people don't know this, but the Toronto Shelter and Support Services Division at City Hall is the third most expensive division in our entire local government, only behind TTC and the Toronto Police, which serve everybody.
So it's more than education.
Well, yeah. And education's part of the provincial purview, but yes. So their annual operating budget is $900 million. Wow. It's going to eclipse $1 billion very soon. And let me ask you, is homelessness getting better? Do you see less people on the streets? Are people have a pathway to homes and they're getting clean? And is that $1 billion being managed appropriately? And I'm convinced the answer is no, because in a rational world, when you're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at a social problem, you expect that problem will get better. The problem's getting worse. So where's our money going? Because we are enduring double-digit property tax increases year over year. And something is funky with this division. And so we think that this petition, which is calling for a third-party audit, so not a city audit, because there's limitations there, but we want either a third-party firm like Deloitte or KPMG to come in, do a forensic audit, and if not, get the provincial auditor general.
Can you stick around for a little bit? All right, you're going to stick around. We're going to talk some more. We're going to take some calls. Don't go anywhere. This is the Ben Mulroney Show. Mulroney Show, and I'm in studio with Daniel Tate, whether it be questions on our history or issues at City Hall. He always comes correct with the facts. He always comes prepared. And so we are going to continue this conversation on accountability at City Hall. Where does the buck stop? How much power do we as citizens have? And yesterday on the show, Daniel, I was talking to the mayor of Nanaimo, BC, because the people working at City Hall have felt under siege from what they call their version of a safe injection site. I think it's called an overdose prevention site. And the knock-on effect has been so negative for the people at City Hall that they've had no choice but to consider putting a fence between the safe injection site and the people at City Hall at a cost of almost $500,000 to the taxpayer. But the mayor said, we don't have any say over that thing. That's a provincial jurisdiction. We have no control over those things. This is the only thing that we can control. Let's listen to his description of the situation.
An overdose prevention site was erected next to City Hall, or installed in December of 2022. And since then, we have seen an awful lot of activity, including congregations of 20 or 30 plus individuals during early morning hours, drug trafficking, open substance use, vandalism, damage to HVAC systems, our fencing and landscaping, frequent hit and run accidents with vehicular damage, fire hazards, including unauthorized fires like set in the doorway to the City Hall, graffiti, litter, human waste, etc. So staff have presented a report to council that will be discussed by council.
Now, you know what? We can cut it off there. I really just want to get the state of play. Like this is what the people at City Hall deal with. And look, there are a couple of things, Daniel, that I don't need a study on. I take that mayor at his word. And what he said is this is the state. This is what happens when you put these safe injection sites in. So then if that's happening at that one, it's happening at all of them. And if it's happening there, it's happening here, right? I think we can agree on that, right?
Yep.
And my assumption is that if that's happening there, some of those things are also happening in homeless shelters, right? Because the Venn diagrams of who uses those things overlap in certain ways, right? So in that case, if you believe that there is a 1% chance that some of those things that mayor described could be happening at a homeless shelter, and you're going to put that next to a school or a daycare center, you have an obligation to double, triple check with the community and make sure that they want that. And instead, you have what Gord Perks did to Roman Baber yesterday.
Yeah, that's exactly what Baber's argument was not only how can you do this without consulting us, but how can you put it so close to a school, knowing that these sites will attract certain elements, they will attract nefarious things.
Yeah.
That's the law of how this stuff goes.
Yeah.
And you're just going to arbitrarily put it here.
Yeah. But you're gonna do something else, my friend. Mike, who dropped this off for us?
Somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody who is very close and concerned about these centers within the city of Toronto,
Right. So
and how they are dispersing
yeah.
paraphernalia.
So it is a negative thing. It is unless you decide through language that it's not. And so a concerned citizen sent us what the city has been given out across at these safe injection sites. And yeah, take the whole bag. Yeah. Here, take this. So it's got everything that you need. I've got a crack pipe in here. There's a crack pipe right here. And I've got if I'm snorting cocaine, I've got a straw, and you can hear it. You can hear the crack pipe.
A lot of fentanyl and a lot of meth can be injected with these needles.
But here's my favorite part. There is actually how to talk to children about the needles that you find on the street, because you and I get angry about it, right? And we should be angry about it. I want to read to you the suggested language of what to say to a child if they see one of these on the street.
And by the way, we're going to do a total unboxing
Yeah,
of
we're
this
doing an unboxing of this.
at a later date. Next week, we're going to do this. But this is sort of a preview.
Yeah. So if a child says to you, why are these needles on the ground? You shouldn't say to them, you shouldn't outrage them or make them angry or make them scared. You should say, sometimes people throw things away incorrectly. Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't know where to put them. Sometimes people throw their wrappers or coffee cups away. They are likening throwing a hypodermic needle on the ground to a Tim's cup. This is... So if you can normalize this, then it's not an issue.
Now, who published that? Where's that from? Is that from the city?
This is from seeaneedle.com. And we'll figure that out. But this is all based on Health Canada's Stigma: Why Words Matter guide.
Okay, so first off, this sanitizing of the English language to make really dangerous social ills sound innocuous needs to end. Yeah. They're always playing this like word salad to make terrible things sound soft. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, you're absolutely right, because I posted a video on Instagram last week of all these needles that I found near St. Mike's. Yeah. It got 300,000 views, but one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that the City of Toronto official Instagram site commented, they're like, oh, just call 311 when you see litter.
Okay.
When you see litter,
couple of things.
So
it's
these needles are litter.
It's a health issue, and two, if 311 can't remove snow, and if they only answer 51 of 29,000 calls during a snowstorm, I'm not trusting them to pick up a goddamn needle. Like, sorry, you're failing at the most basic thing. This isn't basic. This isn't normal.
That's not litter. That's a biohazard that can cause disease.
Yeah.
But the fact that they think that way, and that's a sign of how the thought is at City Hall. Yeah. Like, it's part of how they look at this stuff. Like, it's innocuous. It's not a problem.
Well, of course,
this normalization needs to stop.
Well, the normalization of this, and we've seen it as in the courts, this idea that someone has a charter right to shoot up in public spaces, and it's about them having agency over their lives. I'm sorry, I've heard from enough drug addicts to know that drug addicts, if they had a moment of clarity, they would beg to get off of the drugs. But how many times have you heard from a drug addict? it's not me talking, it's the drugs talking. Like when you hear it from an expert, you're not talking to that person, you're talking to the person with the disease.
There's too much coddling of people, and we have to take a tougher approach.
Well,
the stat quo isn't working. The current approach isn't working. We need a new framework.
And part of that is this petition for an independent audit of Toronto shelters and support services. Remind people how they can sign up to this change.org
we
petition.
would love people to read this great petition on all your tax money that's being used to support all this nonsense that we've been talking about. So please check out the petition. The link is change.org/audit-TSSS. One more time, change.org/audit-TSSS.
And look, what's going to happen if this audit goes through and the auditor says, you know what, they are spending the money well? What are you going to do?
Well, I highly doubt that'll be the case.
But let's give them a fair shake.
Okay, so at least we'll know where the money's going.
Yeah.
Like how much money is being spent to hand out these needles. Like what's our needle budget for fiscal 26? I'd like to know. Is my taxpayer, am I buying a million needles, 500,000? This is the transparency we want.
Yeah, well, and the reason I want to get you on the record with that is because some people are going to try to turn this around and say, oh, you've got an agenda and all you're trying to do is shut down these people doing great work. But, let's just information and clarity is the...
I do have an agenda. It's called transparency with public money.
Call me crazy. I'd like to know how it's spent. Daniel Tate, always great to catch up with you. All the best to you.